You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Welcome back. We're here today to talk about romance scams. It's Valentine's, and Valentine's Day might lead you to think about romance. And in thinking about romance, you may want to know a little bit about romance scams that happen online every day. My name is Kim Casci-Palangio, and I'm with the Cybercrime Support Network, and I'm here with Rachel Ferdinandi from Rhode Island 211. We're here today to talk to you about red flags that you might notice if you're participating in any type of romance situation online, visiting any dating sites, or just get an email from somebody that you begin talking to and you become friends, and that friend relationship may turn into a romance. So in 2018, just this past year, the FBI estimated the losses just in romance scams alone were over $362 million. So if you're looking for love online, we've got some red flags to help you along your way. Rachel, do you get a lot of romance scams answering the call line at 211?
I do. I get a lot of different types of romance scams. I get a lot of calls where people have been in some sort of relationship. Sometimes it's romantic, sometimes it's only a friendship, where these victims are, in their mind, they're in a romantic relationship, or they're just in a very trusted relationship where somebody else is really down on their luck most of the time. This other person they've never met, they've often never seen on like a video chat, but they're claiming they have a lot of bad luck. They're in the hospital, or their pets died, or they're in another country and they're unable to come home. So most of the time it's something along those lines where it starts with, I really need help, I'm trying to come home, or I really need help, I'm in the hospital, or my mother's in the hospital, or my pet is sick, or they're trying to prey on your trust and the sympathy to get you to do what they want, which is give them money.
So I think obviously all scams are horrible. All scams are here to defraud people of their money. But romance scams in particular are so upsetting because they prey on people's trust. Mm-hmm. They prey on the most vulnerable. They pay attention to maybe your Facebook posts. Maybe you change something online and you say, recently divorced, or maybe a loved one has just passed. Maybe you're recently widowed. Maybe you're having a difficult time. Your posts might indicate that. And these are things that bring attention to scammers to take advantage of you being in a more weakened or a more vulnerable susceptible
Yeah,
spot.
Absolutely. They'll check your Facebook page first and see that you're an animal lover. So then they'll talk about their pet all the time to get you to trust them, because they know you trust people who love animals, or they'll use whatever it is that you're posting to get closer to you, because they are watching you in ways that you don't realize.
Right, and they may friend you. They may be somebody that you don't know, that maybe doesn't know really any of your friends, or maybe is only on one of your friends' links. And if, like you said, if you love animals, they may friend you with a picture of them, or who you think is them with their dog.
Yeah.
Or if, you maybe recently posted something about your grandkids, they may post a picture of who you think is them, which in most cases it's not, with their grandkids, and then try to friend you. And they say, oh, well, this person looks nice. Oh, look, they have a dog, or they're with their grandchildren, or they like, gardening, or whatever it is. And so then they get you to friend them. And then from there, they take these fine steps to ingratiate themselves into into your life.
They also, you mentioned saying you only have one friend in common or something like that. That's an interesting statement, because a lot of the time, that one friend in common, you may think that they're very close to that person. A lot of the times you think, oh, they know my son, or they know my friend, and you think they're closer than they might be. Like, your friend could have friended them because they thought they knew somebody else.
Right.
You really never know on the internet how close people really are. So that's one thing that I always recommend people check, is if somebody's saying that they know someone you know and that's how they're trying to initiate a new relationship with you, always check with that original person. Like, if they say, hey, I know Joe and you know Joe, we should be friends, I would always check with Joe.
Very good point.
Yeah.
That's good advice. We have a brief little video that highlights 5 red flags that people can look out for when they're pursuing a romance online. So we're going to show that now briefly. So that was a pretty interesting video. It shows you the basic 5 red flags to look for. There are some things we can talk about to also assist people with things that might go off, leading them to believe that there's something not quite right about this person and their contact with me. If the person isn't showing themselves, so you're not meeting them in person, and all you have is this picture and some texts from them, asking them to chat with you online, face-to-face, is a way to actually find out if this person really exists and if they are actually the person in the picture.
Yeah, because they could be stealing photos from anybody online. Just because somebody's sending you photos that look recent does not mean that they are recent or them. The best way to make sure that someone's using their own face is to do a video chat, or if they're saying they live nearby, meet in a public place. Always, if you're going to meet somebody, meet them in a very public place, somewhere where you feel safe. Always let somebody know, somebody that you trust, know what you're doing, who you're meeting, what they say their name is, where you're going to be. Always make sure, even I would say go so far as to have somebody planted in that public place, just to keep an eye on what's going on.
Good advice.
But the problem is with romance scams, that doesn't often happen. With romance scams, like that video said, one large red flag is somebody always saying no to a video chat or a meeting.
Always having a reason, an excuse, something that came up for the reason why they can't do that with you.
Yeah, like the pet lover. My pet's sick. I'm sorry, I can't come visit you. I have to take him to the vet.
Or I was at the airport ready to go and I got a call that my mom went in the hospital.
Yep. Or my flight got delayed, and they wouldn't give me a new flight, and I can't afford a new flight.
Yep. Also, paying attention to the information that they are sending you. If the information is mismatched, or it doesn't read right, it doesn't read like somebody is very literate. It kind of jumps around. Oftentimes that can be somebody from a foreign country who doesn't know English well, and they're skipping words or sending things out quickly. And the information is mismatched. So you might think that you're talking to one person, but you're actually talking to more than one scammer, and they're just shooting information to you, and so that the information isn't connecting well.
Yeah, it's like there's 2 or 3 people all working together to try and scam a bunch of different people, and when they start conversations with you, they just look at your Facebook page and see what you posted most recently, and they just shoot at you with what they think you're going to be interested in hearing. And it could be the same thing they said to you yesterday, because a different person was talking to you yesterday, or something along those lines. Yeah.
And you think somebody maybe is living in your state or not too far from you, and they're really typing this message to you from a foreign country somewhere.
Yeah, I actually, I had a client. She was a widow. She is a widow. And she was trying online dating. She believed that she met somebody who was living in New York. He told her that he was from New York, but he was working somewhere in Asia. And then he said, after they had talked for a while, he said I believe something along the lines of the oil rig he was working on went down or something, which it was very broken English. And then he said he was from New York, so his broken English was a little bit of a red flag right there. But then he said he needs money to get home. And now this woman was pretty savvy, so she didn't give him any money, luckily. But she also noticed that he had sent her to an agent. He said, talk to my agent and send him this money so that I can get home. And the agent's phone number was in the Philippines. And he's saying he's somewhere in Asia, and he's sending her to the Philippines to send money to. And it gets very convoluted. They very often try to send you to another person to get the money to a specific, another account. I think it's because they try to confuse you.
Yep. And so scammers, as you stated, often steal photos from other people, another person's profile, and just put a name on it, pretend to be that person. Can you talk a little bit about doing a reverse Google image search?
Yeah, so if you go to Google, you can just click the photo button, and you can upload the image that this person is sending you into Google, and it will send you to any matching photos on the internet. Oftentimes, if this person is actually a scammer, it'll be a different person's Facebook page or Instagram page. And from then on, you'll be able to see that maybe not only is there one original person, but maybe this image is being used in multiple profiles to scam multiple different people, multiple different types of people who might be interested in different points of interest.
So that's a very good thing for people to try.
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
that wasn't something that I knew prior to studying romance scams. So that's something that everybody should use when they get approached online like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about catfishing versus romance scams. A lot of people think that this is one and the same. Catfishing and romance scams are the same, but catfishing and romance scams are a little bit different in the sense that a typical catfishing scheme, the catfisher isn't immediately looking to defraud the person of money. In a romance scam, that is the main purpose of the scam, is to get your money.
Yes. I believe catfishing is a lot of the time more about humiliating somebody, kind of, or getting close to somebody, depending on the motive. A catfisher can be somebody who's from your real life who created a fake profile because they wanted to start a relationship with you, but they were afraid to. Or it could be somebody who is trying to draw your attention away from something, or it could be somebody who is trying to, if you're, a lot of the times in the younger generation, it's friends trying to make fun of you. You know, it's bullying.
Interesting. Romance scams are very prevalent and very profitable to criminals. There was a case, the Sonmola case. This one person in romance scams, in various romance scams, was able to steal more than $1 million in laptops and other electronic gear, and he was able to obtain over $730,000 from all of his victims over a course of time. He was caught eventually and sentenced in 2017 to receive 27 years in prison and to repay $1.7 million. But just that one scammer was able to scam $730,000 in cash and over $1 million in merchandise from all different people that he scammed. So it's very prevalent, and obviously they're very good, I guess, at what they do, if that's the word we want to use, because they're successful. And so it's so important for people to pay attention to red flags, and also when you're online on dating sites and you find somebody that you believe to be a scammer, to report it to that dating site.
Yep.
They will investigate, they will remove the person from the dating site. Unfortunately, sometimes the scammer has already made contact with people, and even though they've been taken off of the site, they're continuing some of those contacts going forward, and of course we'll just try to get on another site or scam somebody in another way.
Yeah, a lot of the time scammers will try to get you off of any dating sites that you may be using, any apps like Hinge or Bumble or Tinder or anything along those lines, or what are some of the other apps? What are some of the other popular
Like
apps?
Match.com.
Match.com, things like that. eHarmony, Christian
and
Mingle.
Facebook dating.
Facebook dating, yes. So they'll try to get you off of that site and try to get you to use a telephone number instead. A lot of the times they'll switch phone numbers just to get away from the apps, because they can ban you from the apps. And then another thing, a lot of the time, people who are victims of this type of thing won't report it because they are ashamed and embarrassed, and they feel stupid. And that's not to say that anybody is stupid, because they're not. This happens to so many people. But they won't report it because of that feeling that they should have known. When really, these scammers are very good at what they do. Like you said, over $1 million in merchandise, $730,000 in cash from who knows how many victims. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, people don't report it. And then those scammers can just continue on getting as much money as they want.
Yep. And scams themselves usually develop through very distinct stages. First, the person devises their profile online, and they make contact with the vulnerable victim, usually searching for things that they can find in common or a vulnerability that the person is having at the time. They develop that trust relationship by isolating the victim, as you said, pulling them off of those dating sites, grooming them, communicating with them on a regular basis, maybe texting. Of course, one of the flags that you said is they might change numbers.
Yep.
But they spend a lot of time learning as much as they can about the victim's family, their background, their dreams, and eventually their financial assets. And believe it or not, it's very true that many of these tactics that they use are also used by predators in human trafficking and predators online for child pornography. These tactics are very similar. So it can happen to anybody. Romance scams can happen to young people, old people. There is no discrimination in no group getting hit more than others.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here to help people learn how they can protect themselves, and if they fall victim, what they need to do. So if somebody does fall victim to a romance scam, what are some of the steps that they should take?
Well, the first step to take is to document every conversation. Document everything, document every time they asked you for your money, document everything you ever said if you have the ability to. And stop all communication. Do not talk to this scammer again. It's possible that they have some sort of photos or videos of you. Do not take the bait. Do not give them any money. just block them on any site, block their number, don't communicate with them, because the more you communicate with them, the more you fall into their web, right? So, and the second thing to do is to report it on any apps, to the police, to the state police if need be, and to the Internet Crime Complaint Center, because this is an internet crime.
Which people can do by calling 211, and you can take them through that process, or they can visit fraudsupport.org and do it for themselves.
Yep.
You mentioned a little bit about some of these perpetrators having photos or videos, and so it sounds like they may use blackmail.
Absolutely.
When they realize that they're maybe out of other options to get their money.
Absolutely. They will try to use blackmail or extortion to try and get you to do what they're saying, try and get you to give them at least some of your money. I had a client who was in what he believed to be a relationship with a woman, and he was in a video chat with her. She was using her own face and her images, but he was in a video chat with her where they did some intimate things. And the next thing he knows, he found out she recorded it without his consent or his knowledge. And now she's blackmailing him to give him money via PayPal. And that's a romance scam as much as the next one.
Wow. The AARP found that 11% of adults have either been victimized online or in a relationship scam, or they know somebody who has. So that's a pretty significant amount of people. You mentioned some of the regular dating sites that people use. So a lot of the younger dating sites like Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, Hinge, and some of the dating sites that maybe older adults use, like Match.com, Our Time, eHarmony, and Facebook dating. Sometimes a person can just approach you just through Facebook.
Yep.
Or any social media, and you don't have to be on a dating site.
Yep. Anybody can attempt to friend anybody else. The only way that you can stop that from happening is by just ignoring any friend requests from people that you don't know and you have no connection with. Most of the time, it's going to be a scammer.
And we talked a little bit about this at the beginning. What makes this particular type of scam so heart-wrenching is that it's not just about the loss of money. Other things can happen. Blackmail can happen, extortion. They can steal your identity because they have so much information about you. But it also can lead to depression, thoughts of suicide, feeling horrible about yourself. You should have known, beating yourself up. And I know that there are some resources for people who are victims of romance scam, and I know on 211 you can also help them with other referrals for things like mental health needs.
Yes, we can absolutely refer anybody who needs someone to talk to, some sort of mental health agency. Absolutely. And
the BBB, Better Business Bureau, the AARP, the Federal Trade Commission, the FBI, IC3, all of these places have lots of information for people to read about romance scams and what they can do to report and to recover from romance scams. We said they can also visit fraudsupport.org. And subscribe to Cybercrime Support Network's YouTube or newsletter, Facebook or Twitter pages where they can get tips and updates on scams.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you for all of your information about romance scams, and we hope that everybody stays safe, not only during Valentine's Day, but stay safe online all the time. Every day of the year, not just now, because romance scams continue.
Yes. We also hope that just because romance scams exist doesn't mean you don't stop looking, They exist because people are lonely. That doesn't mean people should stay lonely.
That's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. Just do your best to pay attention to those red flags.
Be very safe.
Yep, be safe. Thanks.